Rightio, we're here at Valley Grant Performance, of course. It's a lovely Monday, and the Monday job for this car was getting this Gilmer belt drive to fit on this NASCAR engine. So Rick that owns the car now, it was owned by another guy, I think by the name of Sam. So originally it had a V-belt sort of system, a multi V-belt. But the problem is, that, as you can see, there's a lot of black stuff sort of around the engine, sort of this black rubber, because it was sort of flicking rubber everywhere because the belt was slipping. So he came up to me and asked me if we could get this belt drive to fit on this motor. So I said, oh, look, anything's possible, we can make it fit. So what we did is we did some measurements and sent got some material and got somebody else to machine it by my instructions. He might have had a bit of trouble interpreting the instructions. So in the end, what I decided to do was to take the project on myself. So long overdue, we went to Hare & Forbes and we got a new lathe and a mill. So, because if you want to do keyways, you need an end mill. Well, you can do it in the lathe, but it's harder. But you can. I have cut keyways in the lathe before. But anyway, so what we did is we had to make all this fit. Now, originally Ricky gave me quite a large GM style alternator that was, I think, 185 amps or something like that. But the problem is with this boost tube going into the throttle body, it was way too big and you couldn't get any adjustment out of it, so it wasn't an option to go for that style alternator. So what we did is we used the original alternator and we fitted this pulley to this original alternator. Now the problem is with that is the depth of where this bolts onto was quite shallow, and there's not much of a thread. If you can see right in there and get a close-up look, you can see it's originally it was only holding on by one thread. Now one thread, anyone that knows, one thread's not acceptable. So what we did is we cut a depression into, or like a recess into the top cog. So, and then that way we could get enough thread that we were actually all the way through on the shaft. So I was happy with that. Now the next problem is we needed to, because it's got, if you look down here, it's got an external oil pump. Now if we look down there, as we can see, we've got an external oil pump. Now with the external oil pump, we only had a certain amount of room on the shaft to play with. So what we've had to do, this pulley here, because we've had to move this alternator as far back as we can, we've actually machined a little bit of material out of the base of this pulley because we need the belt to have full cover. So we can't have the belt hanging off the back of the pulley. So, so what we've done is we've machined this pulley here, this spacer ring here, and we've made sure that we've got full belt coverage. See, if you look there, see the belt doesn't roll off the edge, it gets to right to the edge of the roll, and we don't go any further. It's important that you don't go to the edge of the roll, because then the chances are you can have a few issues. So now if you look down here at the oil pump belt, see this there, so we have an internal spacer. So this internal spacer holds the titanium gear for the oil pump, as well as it's threaded, but I didn't rely on the aluminium as thread. So what we did is we put a helicoil into the aluminium block to make it extra strong, put a brand new bolt, hardened bolt in the end. Also too, we've got countersunk holes, obviously, because we had to attach this to the aluminium block behind. So that's
a big distance.
It's a big distance, but obviously we don't want to go out too far, because obviously we've got an issue with fans, but also too, the major issue we had was with the oil pump, and otherwise we had to move all the oil pump lines, and I think there's about 8 lines coming out of that oil pump.
Oh, if I can get in
It's
Yeah,
it's
there we
tight
go.
to get into. So there's 8 lines coming out of that oil pump. So we didn't want to have any problems with that. So on the back of this spacer, we've got a little step on it because obviously we don't want the belt rubbing on the face of the spacer. So we've got a 1 mil step. 1 mil's all it needs to cause or
To stop it.
just 1 mil's all it needs to stop it from rubbing on the face of the pulley. So that's all we've got. So we've got bare minimum. We've got full coverage on this belt as well that runs on this pulley here. So as you can see here, it's not rolling off the edge, it's right on the edge of it. And what we had to do, because this pulley's quite thick, right? So what we've had to do is we've had to mill a little 5 mil spacer to go in the end of here, so that when we bolt it through the end, and we put a little keyway in that as well, so that way it holds everything nice and tight. Otherwise we couldn't rely on it just being held by the Allen keys.
So you've stopped it from moving and floating completely.
That's right, yeah. Under this pulley is 4 Allen key screws that stop the pulley from vibrating. So we can't afford to not have them holding on tight, but at the same time we can't rely on those. So we still need to have a hardened bolt that goes in the end.
So we made a fail-safe.
Well, it had a fail-safe before, but the problem is the gear was well back from the end washer.
Yep.
So all we've done is use the same washer and a slightly longer bolt, because you need, by thread width, you need that by 1.5 times when it's bolted into steel, minimum. So we've got double that requirement. So, and a little tiny drop of Loctite just to stop it from coming undone. But that's sort of it, sort of done. I still have to clean all the engine, clean all the black off the front of the engine, because obviously it's covered in belt material. It was even on the bonnet, but we wiped the bonnet off so the bonnet's nice and clean. But yeah, this is a quite a unique sort of machine. So there's been no expense spared apart from getting this done. So,
But this was a lot of work. It was
Yeah.
a lot of measuring and machining. And how much swarf did you machine off these pins?
I machined off
whole
these
bin's
spaces
worth?
that I already had made. I machined a bin's worth of swarf. So anyone that knows machining, that's pretty typical. But yeah, it's a bin full of swarf.
Yeah.
So, but you know, it's nice. It runs true. It's not vibrating. So everything's done
It's just-
properly.
It's a patience game to get this right.
It is a patience game. Yeah.
So
I would like.
And you've filmed it already running, because I'm sure everybody would like to hear it running.
Yeah, we filmed it running. I really like this belt setup, and actually, tell you the truth, it is better. The only thing I don't like is this pulley here is so big.
Off the alternator.
Yeah, so which means it doesn't charge as well at lower RPMs. And when you've got fuel injection, which this has, and electric fuel pumps, it's
Fans and
fans,
and everything's electric.
Yeah,
You want it to charge her.
you want it to charge at idle. I don't know how well it charged at idle before. The pulley size is a little bit different. I did explain that to the owner, but Matt at Eagle reckons he can get me a smaller pulley, which they use on some special NASCAR engine for GM, which is the right pitch for the Gilmer system. So if we can run that on the top, that's a bit smaller, well, then we can have our cake and eat it as well. So that means we can have the alternator spinning at the right speed, so that way it charges the whole system. One great thing about having a larger pulley on the alternator is you'll never have an alternator explode because it never spins fast enough. But at the same time,
When
it
you've
doesn't
got,
charge at idle.
Yeah, when you've got a lot of stuff. So when we tested this alternator with the whole new belt system, Shane's going, the alternator's not charging until I'd move the revs up off idle.
Yeah. As soon as we brought the revs up to about 1500 RPM, it came back to 12 volts.
Yeah.
So, not the greatest thing, but you know, you really you know, when you're driving down the road, it'll charge fine. But if you get caught in traffic, well, that's going to drain the battery. So you want to make sure you have a damn good battery. But we're going to try and rectify that because Rick likes to drive the car and he wants to be able to drive it everywhere. And at the same time, he's going to get caught in traffic. And the last thing we need is for him to be broken down on the side of the road, stuck. So if we can get that pulley and sort this top pulley out, well then, great. So we'll see how we go.
Fantastic. If you like this video, don't forget to click like and leave a comment. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe and click the notification bell. If you like the t-shirts that you see the crew wearing, there's a link in the description below where you can grab some for yourself. Thanks for watching.